interesting and strong comments about RG3. Griffin throws a great ball when everything is perfect around him, but he makes bad decisions. He's a terrible leader. Ego is the wrong word because you have to be supremely confident to play at a high level. But when everything is made about yourself and you go out of your way to make things about yourself, quarterbacks who know what is going on even a little bit are going, forget that guy. All right, so more criticism about RG3. We haven't heard it in a while, but he's not using ego. Again, anonymous. Stephen A., let me ask you this. Do you think, and I know you're checking out the article, do you think that's a fair criticism for him?
No. And I say that because I'm sensitive when I see piling on, particularly from contemporaries who don't have the courage to attach their name to quotes, who can say anything that they want to say, who very well may be jealous. When I look at RG3, there have certainly been times when it came across just as much about him and his brand as it came across about him and football. But I've gotten to the point where I think the brother deserves the benefit of the doubt from this respect. See, we want people to be PC. But at the same time, we're also demanding that they be honest. Because anything that they say or do that comes across as remotely disingenuous or inauthentic, we're going to be all over them. Is it possible that RG3 speaking the way that he has spoken, at least in the aftermath of last season, wasn't about ego, wasn't about anything other than somebody that finally stood up and decided to defend himself at certain points? Me personally, whether it's me or somebody else, I'd like to see him explain some things. I'd like to see him sit down and really take on the challenge of addressing these issues bluntly, straight up, and straightforward. But at the same time, I think that in his own way, he's made a concerted effort to do just that. Mike Shanahan was a coach that was in the midst of a 5-year, $35 million contract. He had pretty much complete reins of the franchise. Not total, because Daniel Snyder is the owner, but as much power as a coach could possibly have. And even though we have some folks here who has played for Shanahan and worked under Shanahan, the Shannon Sharps of the world who came to visit, who somewhat vouched for Shanahan, it is clear that Shanahan wasn't perfect. It is clear that he could have handled things a bit differently, a bit more adroitly than he did with RG3. And so as a result, you RG3, you're taking all of these licks, you're taking it not just physically on a football field, but in a court of public opinion. Please don't get me wrong. I've heard of players who've spoken out against RG3, guys, and the things that they alluded to, questioning his sincerity. All of these things are factual. But that doesn't mean that it's all correct. Okay. Some of it might be, but some of it may be a product of RG3 feeling the need to stand up and defend himself and say, well, wait a damn minute. I'm not nearly as bad as I'm being painted out to be, and I'm going to speak up for myself. And because he did that is part of the reason why people get on him. And I don't think that part is fair. If we're going to clamor for the dude to be real and straight up about what's going on with him, let's not then take him doing that and try to attach it to ego. It might just be what's factually correct.
Okay. My view of this anonymous quote, and another one, I don't think you read this one, Carrie. He does not take any blame. Yeah. That came from another backup quarterback.
We've heard that, too.
He does not take any blame.
Yep.
If we are confining these quotes simply to last football season, only last football season, there's a lot of truth here, painful truth for me, because you know I love me some RG3. And I'm going to point out once again, as a rookie in the National Football League, Robert Griffin III outplayed Andrew Luck. And again, we're at odds here. I was on record before that draft. Robert will prove long-term to be better than Andrew Luck. Right now, I'm not looking very good, but I was looking great after that first year, right?
No.
20 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, turned around a team that had finished last and made it first in the NFC East, had the Seattle Seahawks down 14-0 at home in a playoff game before he got hurt. You tell me that wasn't a great rookie year?
It was a great rookie year.
Thank you very much.
I'm just saying that I still didn't feel like he was going to be better than Andrew Luck.
Okay, but he outplayed Andrew Luck as a rookie. Rookie to rookie, he outplayed him. Statistically outplayed him. Record-wise, playoff-wise, outplayed him.
Okay.
Well, he did. I mean, he was in a better position to play. Remember, Andrew went to the Ravens, and he just stunk it up, man. He had no chance against the Ravens.
Still was 11-5.
Okay, fine. Now, all these quotes are pinpointed to last year, and I can't argue with he made bad decisions last year. What happened?
Neither can I.
He came back way too fast. Did he play any preseason football last year? And am I being a hypocrite about it? Because I sat right here and I said, you can't do this. And I said going into the opening Monday night game, you can't do this. You can't start this game if you never played a snap of preseason football coming off ACL reconstruction. No. And what happened predictably on Monday night, that opening night? Stunk it up. Michael Vick, you know, and Philly, they went in there and stuck it to him. Okay, so did he take any blame last year? Not enough. Big picture, did Robert Griffin III, you talked about how much Washington loves its Redskins. No city I've ever been in, and I've covered many, many games in D.C., no city hero worships its team any more than that area hero worships its Redskins. Robert got lost in the hero worship during the offseason, the brand, the documentary he did. We've talked about it. He lost himself in the hero worship. And for his sake, I hated it because sometimes I think he's still a little lost in it because when he speaks, you want him to speak real. I'm not sure it's Robert speaking anymore. There's no humility anymore. There's not feet firmly planted on solid ground. I don't hear that anymore. So if you want to just pin this criticism to just this last season and what's going on right now, I'm okay. I think Jay Gruden's going to change all that. I'm looking for a big year from Robert, which is why I'm probably going to pick the Redskins to win the NFC.
I don't understand how people say they don't hear humility or whatever. You ask the man the question, he gives you an answer.
But he's still pretty full of himself.
But how? I'm like, listen, you ask him a question, does he believe in himself? He says yes. I hear him being complimentary of his teammates. I hear him being positive about the organization. I hear him talk about moving in a forward direction with the new coach. I hear all of those things. So I don't understand how we hear something that says, well, you know what, he's not exercising humility or whatever the case may be. And I'll also, now listen, the one moment that stood out for me, that's the most indictable moment against RG3 was when he played the Eagles, and on the last play, he threw the ball like out of the end zone or whatever.
I know.
Yeah,
and nobody came to help him up.
Well, they were done with it.
The Eagles teammates. That was the one. Now, that moment told me a lot.
Sure.
But outside of that, no. And all I'm saying is you move forward because in all likelihood, his primary problem was Mike Shanahan, his relationship with Mike Shanahan. With that being said, I look at RG3 and I'm saying to myself, you know, I understand that he had 3 Super Bowl championships and you know, his accomplishments can't be questioned. But I remembered Tom Brady on the sidelines getting into a cussing out match with Bill O'Brien.
Yep.
You know, I remember Tom Brady. I mean, we don't bring stuff like this up. And I remember the days of Phil Simms where Bill Parcells was screaming and get the bleep out of here and all of this other stuff. I'm like, it's football. It happens. But somehow, some way, you know, it happens with RG3, and we got to look at it and go like, well, you know what? He's a prima donna. All of these stuff, the problems.
Okay, but
we
those
don't
guys
say that
you talk
guys
about had rings.
I'm just saying. But your accomplishments have. Listen, you can talk about the accomplishments all you want to, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that you gloss over or negate who they are as people. Yeah. We're not. We all know that RG3 hasn't even won a playoff game yet. We all know he's fresh off a 3-13 season. But when you start talking about this man's character, I'm like, what factual evidence do you have, especially when you take into account Shanahan's role in all of that?
Well, you keep saying you don't like the fact that people may be, quote unquote, piling on, but could there be any hint of truth to it? Everyone
of course there
can't say the same thing.
Of course there could be, but at the same time, how am I supposed to attach credence to people who are cowardly in terms of giving anonymous quotes, not telling who they are? I don't know what position you play. I don't know what personal relationship you got with RG3. I don't know if you've got an axe to grind against him. See, we can say what we want because everybody see us. We standing here front and center and we speaking our mind. And by the way, you don't have to comment. There are plenty of professional athletes, coaches, executives who are quick to say no comment. Why do you feel compelled to speak about this young man now? Or why are you doing it behind his back? I find that to be a tad bit odd. I don't see them saying it about a bunch of other guys.
Okay.
On
Were
balance?
they talking about him when he was a good leader, making good decisions as a rookie?
I don't remember
I
that.
don't recall.
That's a good question.
I don't recall
remember.
that.
I don't
That's
remember.
my point.
Okay.
And I don't mean to sound like Ronald Reagan or anybody
Or
like
if
that.
he
I don't
was,
recall.
If he was
You
good,
have never sounded like
but
Ronald
if he was
Reagan.
good, nobody